Hey everyone, welcome to I Totally Love It. My name is Susan. If you're new here, welcome. Today I'm working on hashtag Give a Scrap. This is hosted by Angela, the traveling crafter. Um, and our intention for these videos is to take things that might end up in the trash and in the dump and out in the landfills and try to repurpose them for something that maybe we could use in our crafts. And it's been a month full of great collaborators making videos. So I hope you've been able to check out some, all, of the videos. And then in addition to those videos, those guest collaborators on the calendar, because today's my day, um, everyone is supposed to tag some friends and they're supposed to make some videos. So I'm going to go ahead and tag my friends that I would like to see make a video with hashtag Give a Scrap. I would like to tag Trish at Crafting Whimsy. I would like to tag Maggie at My Scattered Brain. And I would like to tag Belinda at Visualized NZ because she even has a series called Tuesday Trash Craft or Trash Craft Tuesday. So she's like the ultimate doing this weekly on Tuesdays. All right, so I've come to share a few ideas with you. I'm going to start with a project that I made back in December for my December daily journal. I don't know if you recognize this, but I made it from a gift box. So when someone's getting ready to throw them out, I say at Christmas or at a party, say, hey, can I have those? And all I did was I cut all the edges off and just lined it with paper. And this is the lid of like the box. So I scored it where I wanted it, and yeah, cut it down to size. This was the like lingerie size. Um, I did go buy these on purpose because I wanted this gingerbread house. Um, but like I said, save them from the dump, and someone out there could probably get real crafty too because I almost did it. Kept the edges because when you fold it, it looks like a box, like that, you know. But someone out there can try to make that and share that with everyone. So that's an idea. So save those um, shirt boxes and lingerie boxes and robe boxes because maybe you can get more than one journal out of it. All right. I just finished a collaboration here in April called hashtag A Woodland Steampunk Spring, and with Crafty Dragon Creations, Stacy and Karen from Creative Paper Artisan. And I made my journal cover from a cereal box. And let me grab one here. This was the first one I had done for that, and I realized if you've seen that series that this spine was not going to be wide enough, so I had to get a big cereal box, and I have a teenager, so it was really easy to do. In fact, I have a little collection of cereal boxes growing here. And so you just take these cereal boxes and you cut them down to the size you need, and you know, just use that as your cover with paper and stuff. But what do you do with all the bits that you cut off? Because here's a lot of bits from the cinnamon toast crunch journal and a few bits from my Rice Krispie one and some honey bunches of oats. So first, I'll tell you, these two are my guides for my signatures. This was the one I used for my Woodland Steampunk because it actually came off the box. So you're going to keep one spine. I would keep the one where there isn't a seam. So this side of it's typically the left side. I don't know if this is the same all across the world, but in the States, it's typically the left side is the side you're going to keep. And then the right side is the one where it's glued there. And so I cut that because that could become my guide for this side since they're the same size. So if you plan accordingly, you could, get it out safely and be able to use it. And this was the one for Honey Bunches of Oats that I used last year. And excuse me. But there's other things up here that we cut off that we can use. So let me share some of the things that I've cut off here. Um, like I said, so like this could be my, guide. I can figure out where I want my signatures to go and use that. But look at the ends, you guys. Those are tab shaped. You know, tear those off. And I did that with another box. I just covered them with some scrap digital paper for a project. And then you can either glue these on or just staple these. You could also use it as a template if you don't have a tab punch and you like this size. And you can just, keep that and trace it onto whatever. You can even trace it. This is the top from tissue box. You could trace it on there. And if you trace it back to back, I'll have to do this with two, like this. Here, we'll do it with two from the same box. You can make that where it'll fold in the middle and then it'll go over the page. Because this is just one side. You don't have to staple that or glue it somehow. All right, so what else can we use? Well, speaking of tabs, the tops of the cereal boxes, they have file folder shapes. So, if you're always looking for that template, cut off the ones you don't want. Maybe you want the center one because, they come in a lot of times. They come in the triple cut. So you have the left, the center, and the right tabs. So you could cut that off and use it as a template, or you could even have that decorated and have that off your page and let that be like a page edge. So you have a tab and it's decorated and it's long and maybe be a side tuck. You can tuck something in it. So the Cinnamon Toast Crunch cereal box was short. So the part that I cut off the top, not very big for a journal. I guess you can make a little mini journal from it though. The Rice Krispie one that I accidentally threw away, because it was a bigger box, it actually had a nice size, um, so maybe like a 4-inch or so journal spine. That would have been really nice to do. So I'll have to remember that on the next Rice Krispie box, that big box. But you can still cut these, and use these for other projects. You can, use that to go over a page. You can decorate it. You can cut it off there and then use that piece for something else. You can turn that into a hidden paper clip, put some materials in there to do that. Here's the other side of the cover or the top. And so it has, a little sharper edge for tabs, but you can certainly use that for a different template. Of course, these are off the bottom, but I would just trim these down and cover them with paper. These would make great belly bands, vertical, horizontal, or even little side tucks, or even bookmarks. You could even put these down the center and then put some ephemera, but I would cover these because they're, unless you like that look, the chipboard look. No one's judging. If you like it, you like it. And this is the piece from the tissue box. When you open the tissue box and you peel it back. So I had to open one up for school the other day, so I brought it home. And but this could be a bookmark, or this could be a long pocket if you had, probably not that, but maybe, one of these, and you trimmed it down a little bit, or just made it out of paper. That would be kind of neat to have like a long pocket. It's already got the notch in it. But save the tissue box too. I like the ones with the oval because those can make great journal covers. I have used the little cube, smaller tissue boxes, the top. I've used that as like a little window in a journal. So, repurpose all these bits that you tear off your journal and see what you can do with them. But you can find lots of uses. But you could cover these too, cut them certain length and make them little, tag toppers. Maybe your washi tape is that width. That would be great to cover with washi tape. Okay, so I'm gonna get into my ultimate project that I wanted to share with you. I'll just say this is the second time I've made this video because I saw an idea on Pinterest that I wanted to do for my Junk Journal Madness journal. It's roses and neutrals theme, and I had this napkin. So we all have napkins, and I was like, oh, this would be a great way to use that napkin. And cardboard, corrugated cardboard. We all have cardboard, and a lot of times we just break it down and send it on its way. But there's a lot of uses for that corrugated cardboard. Number one, if you have a jelly plate, or if you don't have a jelly plate, maybe you have another system that you're doing something similar. It could be, a little template for pulling off some lines or whatnot. I know you can probably peel off the edge and use it to like scrape little lines in your paint. So that's an idea. But the Pinterest post that I saw had no information. So I couldn't go find the instructions for how they did this. And I was like, okay, well, I could figure this out. So theirs was heart shaped and it had other things on there. But one of the things it looked like napkin. I was like, okay, I can do that. So I'm gonna show this to you. Nobody laugh. um, well, and I did some things to it because I was trying to like experiment at that point when I was like, okay, this is just garbage now and an experiment. So I'm gonna show you this, and I'm gonna show you what I've done to help you out. First, let's start with the hideous result. I don't like that. You can probably see my napkin better in the light, but it was some light pink roses. So what I did was I put Mod Podge, took my Mod Podge, put it all in there, used the, where is it? It's drying somewhere. My little spatula, these little things. I got it all in there. And then I peeled the napkin all the way back because that's what we tend to do as junk journalers. I can't even talk. Is peel it all the way back to that top layer. In fact, sometimes when you swap with someone to make it lighter in the mail and less bulkier, we just send that top layer. And I couldn't hardly see it. I was like, oh my gosh, this is not great. So then I went back in. I put a little white gesso, and it was so bright compared to this darkness because that's cardboard. So then I thought, well, I'll go back over it with bleached titanium. Anyway, so that's where we're at with that one. That was going to be my journal topper. I don't think it will be now. So while I had all the stuff out, I thought, well, let me experiment a little. Now this is not my final experiment because here in video 2, I did a much better organized, experimental stuff. So I had, this is the second layer of a very dark green St. Patrick's Day napkin. I saved it because it was still light green instead of, just tossing it. I was like, oh, I can still use that. And so I put just the glue first, Mod Podge, and put it on. And then this one, I put the gesso first, just to see. And the gesso made it pop out a little bit more. It's a little brighter green. I think it depends on what look you're going for as well. Okay, so then this is a controlled experiment now, folks. Okay. Okay, so I started with a napkin that had just lots of color and pattern. Well, I mean, it's not a lot of white spots, I guess, on it. So I just took this little wavy patterned napkin, just cut off a little strip of it. Okay, and then I took a piece of cardboard, pulled all the paper off the top, and I started down here with Mod Podge on the bottom. This one is the napkin with one layer left on behind. It's a 3-layer napkin. I pulled off the very bottom layer. So this is a top layer, and the second layer. This is just the top layer. It's still needing to dry. but I topped it with Mod Podge on top. Also, your friend in this project, either a paintbrush. I just used a wooden skewer to get into the grooves here, because I think that was part of the problem with the last one too. Because when I was just doing this, it was like tearing up my napkin at a certain point. Okay, and then up here, I put gesso, white gesso down, and then this is the one with a layer, the top layer and the second layer still together, and this is just the top layer. So it depends on the look you're going for, honestly. And if you ever grab a napkin, grab two, right? So you can, if you want to, do experiments like this. So if you want the cardboard kind of showing through, then you're gonna be okay with no gesso underneath. Do you want it to stand out? I don't think this makes a difference though, but the other one sure did though, didn't it? What did I do with it? Did I already put it in the trash? I don't even know what I did with it. Where did you go? There it is. I mean, it's not terrible, but it wasn't the look I was going for. I think this one would have benefited because the colors were pale. It would have benefited from Mod Podge. These are some bolder colors, I guess. You can really tell a difference there on those greens. Okay, so do yourself a little control experiment. I thought, well, I have all the stuff out. Let's try tissue paper. So same two tissue papers. This one's got the gesso underneath. So once again, what look are you going for? Do you want it to stand out more? I like it in the grooves like that. Like I said, that project that I saw, it was heart shaped. So on the back, you could certainly, trace your shape, cut it out, and then you've got your shape. So that was a heart, but you could make a tag shape. You could try even maybe dictionary page because it's thin. Maybe some thin rice paper. But definitely thin papers. And like I said, the skewer really helped. Well, it really wasn't a skewer. It is it's one of those little, has a little animal for your planner, like a little decoration. It was a turtle, of course it was. And it fell off. Anyways, I needed something, and so I repurposed this. So save your little wooden dowels, but it gets in the grooves quite nicely. You could also use the handle of a paintbrush, especially if you have one that looks like that. Repurpose it. But these are fun and neat to use, these little spatula things. But once you get the tissue paper on there, it's hard to get it to stick. And then another little tip, let me slow down, I'm trying to talk fast. When you're doing the napkin and the tissue paper is start on one side. You need to make it longer too, because it's gonna cinch up as you're going in the grooves. Put your finger on the one you just did, cinch it in, put your finger, because otherwise it'll lift it up, because it's still wet glue. But have patience. It's gonna need to take some time to dry. That's why this one's a little raggedy looking, and this one, you probably can't see all the little tears that I had in it because I was just so impatient waiting for it to dry. Like up here, there's a gap in the green leaf. So you can see it better when the light is shining on it, but it really got lost in translation. Anyways, so experiment and maybe not even paint the whole back. Maybe you can kind of figure out where the lightest areas are, or where you want it to pop out, put the gesso there, or even try, like unbleached titanium or something. So that's what I have. Oh, and so back real quick because I did pull this out. Like if you're covering these and you need, paper, those real thick pads at Michael's and Joann's. I don't think Hobby Lobby has anything like this thin. Anyways, this nice thin paper is what you could use since this has already got some thickness to it. It's like chipboard, and to me it's slightly more flexible, so maybe a little bit thinner, but just cover it, and repurpose the stuff instead of throwing it in there when you may want a belly band, but belly bands need some sturdiness, I guess is the word. And so, cover it with some lighter paper. I mean, you can cover it with thicker paper, but it's a great way to use this lighter paper that maybe, you can't use on a lot of things because it is kind of thin. All right, I'm going to put the hideous stuff away. There's my controlled experiment. So I know you have tissue paper. I know you've got napkins. And I know you've got some cardboard. And most of us have Mod Podge. Oh, another tip real quick with the Mod Podge, when I just put it on the spatula, it was better to let it kind of drizzle on, because if you just put it on here and try to, paint with it, I guess it's gonna like gloop up, and that's what's taking some of these spots longer to dry. So I got a little bit smarter with some of the other things and just drizzled it and then used the wooden dowel to, spread it out better. All right, guys, I hope you use this tip in your creations. But it's always fun to experiment too. So don't be afraid to get a little piece and test it out and see how it works, before you try your one and only napkin that you've had. I did order some new napkins though from eBay, so don't feel too bad for me. All right, guys, I appreciate you and your time. Don't forget to go visit all the guest collaborators. They're all linked below, and then when you hear their videos, you'll see and hear who they tagged, and go check out their videos. Just follow the hashtag Give a Scrap, and I think she's done this. I know she did it last year, maybe the year before. So some videos, if you're just following the hashtag, might pop up from last year, but hey, those are still great ideas. They don't go out of style. All right, you guys. I appreciate you and your time. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. I'll see you in the next one. Until then, bye bye.